Hey everyone, welcome back to Talking Sense. It's been a while since I've done a Sunday sample, so it's that time. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've managed to get a Sunday sample done. It's just seems everything's played against my Sundays, so I haven't had the time to sort of sit down and actually do a Sunday sample. But yeah, got time today. It is the afternoon or the evening already, but I'll still get a good sort of 5-6 hour wear out of this before I kind of come back and do a second part. So I should still be able to give you a good impression on whatever it is I put out. Before we start, I do just want to say I've been wearing this all week, like literally all week. I picked it up. It's really cheap. Just kind of like a super mini review because there's a few reviews on this on YouTube, so there's no point me doing one. But it is basically Midnight Oud by Haramain, which is what that I did a couple of reviews before about their kind of really cheap offerings on eBay. Again, this was really cheap. It cost me £7. And it's meant to be. A lot of people say it's well, it is a clone of Interlude, Amouage Interlude Man. But I would say actually, for me, it feels like a kind of love child between Interlude and Leighton, apart from Damali Leighton. I mean, the two are not a miles apart anyway. The dry down, for example, they get. I mean, that they do start slightly different or pretty different, but they do come together in that dry down. And this, it's like a much sweeter version of Interlude. So, or you could say it's a much sweeter version of Interlude, or a much kind of smokier version of Leighton. And I've really been enjoying it. Been enjoying it a lot. It's a really nice sort of cheapie. So I just thought I'd chuck that in as a kind of little mini review at the start. Really nice. It's not as brutal as Interlude. It hasn't got that, the Interlude's kind of well known for being like super in your face and massive. It's nowhere near as much as that, and it's got, like I can say, if you like Leighton but it's too sweet, or you like the woods in Leighton, because it's got the woods of Leighton in it for me, and it's got that kind of sweetness, but it's not as sweet as Leighton, and it's much smokier and got more incense. It's a nice sort of marrying for me. I say it's like a love child between kind of Amouage Interlude and Parfum de Marley Leighton. Really nice. Anyway, moving on. Let's get on with this Sunday sample, yeah? I don't want to look. I'll give it a shake. Okay. So this is a really popular one. Okay, yeah. So I've been interested in testing this out. This is one of Jeremy's favourites. Jeremy Fragrance's favourites, or it was a long time ago. I don't know if it is now. I don't keep up with his channel, but Azzaro Wanted By Night. I know this was like super popular, right? I've never smelt it, but it's I can't smell it in the bottle. It's not been sprayed before, so let's give this a bosh. Let's see. I don't know what's in it. I know it's Azzaro Wanted By Night. What is it meant to be? I don't know. Is it meant to be tobacco? Maybe. Is it? I bet there's iris in it. I don't know. I really don't know. Let's give it a spray and see what happens. So, Azzaro Wanted By Night. Oh, that's not what I was expecting, but okay. I get why this is popular straight away. This opening's really quite nice. I totally get why this is popular. It's got a bubblegum feel to it, which is just sort of quite easy to like. There's something sort of limey in there, or perhaps it's like the bergamot, but it's got this, like I say, very bubblegum top end. In fact, that's all I think it smells like is bubblegum at the moment, and a very specific type of bubblegum, like that sort of bubblegum you got when you were a child, and you got sort of big strips of this like pink kind of powdery bubblegum that cost like 5p or a couple of cents or whatever, and it was it not sort of like your kind of wrapped up bubblegums. It was really your kind of cheap lump bubblegums. Apart from that, I don't really smell a lot else. It smells like bubblegum, but it's not unpleasant actually. Better than I expected. It's not. I don't know about that whole by night thing, because it's not. like a lot of perfumes, I don't really feel like, sometimes you get like the kind of, they release the flankers, right? Because this is a flanker. I'm pretty sure there was Azzaro Wanted and then Azzaro Wanted by Night, right? So it is a flanker. But like a lot of those kind of by night or intense flankers, where they're kind of like, they sort of come across as if they're a bit darker or whatever. Like a lot of those, I don't really feel like this is really. I've never smelt the original. I think I have the sample of the original in there as well. I've never smelt it, but this does not feel like a darker version of anything to me. It still doesn't feel that dark. I mean, it's bubblegummy, so how is that dark? It's not really dark, is it? But otherwise, there is something in there. There is some sort of like floral, but it's tucked right back at the moment. It's kind of, I can feel it kind of trying to creep out right now. It's taken however long since I sprayed that, so probably like what, 3 or 4 minutes or something. It's taken that long to sort of start showing itself, but it's still tough. It smells, there's something dry in there actually, like there's something sweet trying to come out, there's something floral trying to come out, and there's something dry kind of scraping out underneath it. Smells like sort of spiced, something dry and spicy, but I wouldn't know what that is, but it has this like dry, spicy sort of vibe to it, and that's kind of coming out below this kind of slight floral that feels quite waxy, and a sort of sweetness that is perhaps like benzoin or something like that. Like so it's not quite like a big vanilla. It feels like a kind of softer, subtler sweetness, but it is a vanilla-y kind of sweetness, but it feels more subtle than your kind of typical vanilla. It's more dialed back than that, and it feels a bit kind of, again, kind of candy-ish, and it's sort of tying him in that bubblegum, but that bubblegum vibe is dropping back and kind of collapsing in on itself now, and it's sort of, I feel like perhaps it was the same thing, but now it's starting to sort of break down and collapse. You can see that actually it was made of like a floral and this sweetness, and now they're starting to kind of step into their own space, as opposed to just being this kind of bubblegum clump from the opening. There's definitely something that's coming across to me quite dry and quite sort of spicy bitterness. But I mean, overall, it's not bad. It's certainly better than some of the other popular designers that I've looked at this year, like Bulgari Manwood and Yves Saint Laurent. I prefer it to both of those. It's got a sort of more interesting element to it, with that dry, spiced sort of green bitterness that's going on. It's so subtle, I can't pick it. It's really, really subtle, but I like that it gives it like just a slight extra dimension. I'd love to know what it is. I say, when I turn this off, I'm gonna check out the notes, and then say when I come back, I'll tell you guys anyway. But I find it's giving it something interesting. But yeah, no, otherwise it's quite nice. It's a nice opening. I can see why it's popular, for sure. The opening is obviously like, it's super easy to like. It's that kind of bubblegum sweetness that perhaps that makes it sound dreadful, but you know what I'm talking about. You've smelt it a million times, and it's not unpleasant. It's not particularly everyone's favorite smell. It's a bit young for me, to be honest. I feel like it's all sweetness. There's apart from that dry bitterness that's going on, very, very subtle in the background. It's all sweetness. So it feels a little bit kind of youngish, but it's pleasant. So I'll come back. I'll wear that for the rest of the day, and I'll come back. I say the rest of the day. It's already sort of like working into the evening now, but I'll wear it for the next 4 or 5 hours, and then I'll come back and I'll let you guys know, what the longevity was like, and the dry down. We'll talk about the dry down, and I'll get the note listing as well, and we'll walk through it and see what I smell and see what I don't smell. So yeah, cheers. Okay, so I'm back. I've been wearing Azzaro for about 4.5 hours now. What do I think? Got quite a few things to sort of deal with, but let's go through the note listing. So the official note listing, or the note listing as far as Fragrantica says, is on the top cinnamon, orange, or is that like mandarin or something, lavender, lemon, and then in the middle it's red cedar, incense, cumin, dry fruits, cedar, tobacco, cypress, benzoin, isoe super, leather, patchouli, and vanilla. So there are your notes. What do I smell? So the bubblegum that it really opens with, it as it dries down and it relaxes a bit, the lavender it really shows itself. And the lavender lasts for a really long time, like all of the fragrance actually. And I think when I was saying it was a floral that was trying to peak out, that's your answer. I think it was the kind of that floral quality of the lavender that was struggling, and it was still feeling very bubblegummy. But as the fragrance wears on and it chills a little bit, it does turn into a quite clear lavender. Actually, quite obvious and say like quite clear and obvious lavender. And it's a nice lavender actually. It's done quite well. The cumin is, I guess, the spices that I was talking about. The dry kind of bitter spices, I guess, is the cumin. Outside of that, the rest of those notes, I have to say I don't smell a lot of. Like, there's an incensey element, but the idea that there's like a strong tobacco and leather in here, it's sort of funny. There is like the benzoin I can definitely smell. Could smell that right from the start. It was clearly a benzoin. The patchouli comes out quite strong, but it's very clean patchouli. Think like, you know, like Amen, things like that. The cinnamon at the start, yeah, I guess that kind of adds to that sweetness and that bubblegumminess. But it doesn't feel. A lot of these notes to me, they don't feel very defined. They're not like super. I feel like they're quite hard to pick individually. Say the top notes, the fruits, I didn't get a lot of that citrus. It got a citrus, but to me it just smelled like a typical bergamot, you know. I didn't really get like this. Is it tangerine or orange? What was that supposed to be? Oh, mandarin, right? So I didn't really get like a mandarin orange in here, and I didn't really get a lemon. To me it just smelled like it had this kind of vague bergamot citrus top that was kind of buried anyway underneath the bubblegum opening. Say for me, I got like I'm gonna kind of summarize it pretty easily. Spray it, you get a huge bubblegum start. After about 5 minutes, a dry kind of spice starts to come out, that kind of just starts to kind of creep out a little bit. Give it sort of like another half an hour, and it becomes quite prominent in the middle. Actually, I felt like it was quite there. And at the same time, an incense sort of pops in as well, and shows its head. And throughout that, you get the benzoin and the patchouli that creeps up as well. A little bit of cinnamon, yeah. When the bubblegum sort of collapses, you get a bit of cinnamon. The tobacco, the cedar, the leather, not really. Like cedar's quite rough, you know, like it's a rough wood. I didn't get any roughness from this. I didn't really get a lot of woodiness from it, to be honest. And what woods there were didn't, to me, feel very rough. They felt sort of like smoothed by that benzoin to give them quite sweet, sort of subtle woodiness to everything. But I didn't really feel like it was much. You know, like the prominent to me was lavender, cumin, incense, patchouli, and benzoin. That's I would say anything outside of that, and you're kind of not really. I watched a couple of YouTube reviews of this to see what other people thought of it, because I knew it was quite a popular one. I love Fragmental. I think his channel's great, and I do watch him. But his review on this was kind of, I know it was kind of tongue in cheek when he was kind of doing his bad boy vibe, but he said that this is the leather and the tobacco in this make it feel grown up. No, it doesn't. Sorry, Chris. This doesn't feel grown up at all. It feels young 20s, you know, sort of club banger, teenage to sort of young 20s, like sort of bracket. But otherwise, I think it's quite a nice fragrance. I do think for that market, for the kind of like older teen, young 20s, I think this is quite nice. I think if you're wearing it thinking it's bad boy and kind of mature, this is one of the most pussy fragrances I've ever smelled in my life. Like, it's just kind of a club banger, generic kind of very. It's not masculine. It's very kind of like sort of feminine leaning, kind of that the typical kind of feminine leaning masculine that we get these days with the spiced Orientals. Yeah, it's not a bad boy fragrance, not even in the least. But it's not bad. But it's not bad. It's a nice fragrance. I wouldn't wear it. Again, like I say, I'm like 37. Like it's too young. It's too young for me. But I can see why it's popular, and I can definitely, you know, understand why. What makes it good and what makes it popular. It's a nice fragrance. It's if you're looking for something, I know I've probably just pissed you right off if you are in that demographic, but if you're looking for something that hits that, and you're still with me, I do think this will be really good for you. You know, like I do think this is a great or good sort of clubbing fragrance. You know, or going to bars and things like that. I think, yeah, wicked. I do like it. I think if you are looking for something with a touch more kind of like leather and tobacco in it, something a bit more, not bad boy, but just something a bit more kind of along those lines, but maybe a little bit more kind of grown up, but in the same sort of price bracket. I would say Jazz Club, actually. I still think Jazz Club is not too far away, but I do think it's a step up in terms of maturity compared to this. This is still very much, say, in that kind of feels. It's the bubblegum. That's the thing. You're never going to get past a bubblegum. You know, to call this like a bad boy or a mature fragrance. For me at least, I'm never going to get past the fact that it's too bubblegummy. It's too, and that instantly kind of pulls it back to that kind of quite juvenile area. So yeah, I say perhaps Jazz Club. Look at that. If you want something in that like that genre, but a little bit more grown up, like if you're looking to kind of graduate maybe and just do sort of baby steps, I would say Jazz Club, Maison Margiela Jazz Club. It is a better bet than this, but this is, like I say, it's nice, it's decent. I don't mind it at all. It's that cumin, I guess, just kind of like lifts it for me, and actually makes it quite nice. I do quite like it, and it does kind of give it an added dimension that you don't necessarily always find in these kind of fragrances. So it's quite nice. And try and be subjective. Objectively, am I going to buy this? No. I again, not because it's a particularly bad fragrance, but it's not really my cup of tea. I sort of feel like I'm sadly like much too old for this kind of thing now. Decent fragrance, not bad. I would give it a kind of solid average. The performance and stuff was fine, by the way. In terms of male, female, it like all those kind of fragrances, it's pretty unisex if you wanted to wear it. It's pretty unremarkable, really. You know, you could wear this. Anyone could wear this. Like literally, it's just a kind of generic banger. So yeah, that's kind of that. But say it does perform well. It does kind of project well, and it does smell nice. But it does have those. It definitely has a generic vibe to it, but it's done well. So yeah, that's kind of that. Azzaro Wanted by Night. All right, not super great, nothing I'm gonna buy, but all right. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe or don't, or comment if you want. Cheers. Nice one.